Hello, I am Professor Kalpesh Patel, Electrical Engineering Department from the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. Our subject is Power Electronics and the subject code is 3140915 of the BE third year 5th sems. Today we are going to study the remaining topic of our first chapter, Power Switching Devices. And this is the flow of content, from which in previous lecture we completed the static characteristics of the device up to the IGBT. So in this lecture we will study the static characteristics of the thyristors and its basic structure, and we will also study the second topic, operation of the power device as a switches. So now we will continue from the thyristor. It is also known as the SCR, silicon controlled rectifier. The basic structure of the SCR is shown in figure. So it is a 3-terminal 4-layer PNPN device. 3 terminals, its name indicated, anode, cathode and gates, and its 4-terminal PNPN. This PNPN. So this P is P plus region. This is N minus region. This is also P plus and this is N plus. Plus indicate the highly doped region, while minus indicate the lightly doped regions. In P regions, majority carriers are the holes, while in N regions, majority carriers are the electrons. So this is P plus, highly doped region. That means this region has the more number of the holes. This is the lightly doped regions, N minus. So this region has the less number of the electrons. This is also P plus region, so it has large number of holes, and this is N plus, so it has the large number of electrons. Thyristor has the typical rating available are 1.5 kiloamperes of its current ratings and 10 kilovolts of its voltage ratings, which responds to the 15 megawatt power handling capacity. So this much power can be controlled by the applying only about 1 ampere of gate currents. So this is very important device for control the power flow in the transmission lines, because it has very less power loss during the turn on conditions, and this power can be controlled only by the 1 ampere of gate currents. So this is the symbolic representation of the SCR. This is anode and this is cathode and this is gate. So current will flow from anode to cathode. So the SCR is a 4-layer device, PNPN, and its 3-terminal anode, cathode and gate. Gate is brought from these P regions, which control the input. That means current is flowing from anode to cathode, which is controlled by the gate. This is the equivalent circuit of the thyristors. If we bisect these two layers, we get this kind of the circuit. So PNP and this is NPN. So this is one transistor and this is second transistor. So this is the Q1 transistor, which is PNP, and this is the second transistor, NPN. So it is the combination of the two transistors. So the two transistor model of the thyristor. So this transistor T1, it has PNP, and this is transistor T2, NPN, and G is brought from these P regions. Now we will understand all the currents which is flowing from the transistor one by one. So in previous lecture I explained the basic structure of the transistors. So in which we show IC is the collector currents, IE is emitter current, ICBO is the forward leakage current, alpha is common base forward current gain. So from this parameters, the relationship between the IC collector current and base current IB is given by the IC equal to beta IB. That means collector current is equal to the base current multiplied by the beta equal to the common emitter forward current gains. So in general, this is the common equation for the transistor. The collector current IC equal to the alpha IA plus ICBO. So this equation we apply for this circuit for a transistor T1, we get these equations. So IC equal to collector current. So for transistor T1, IC equal to this IC1. So IC equal to IC1 and alpha equal to alpha 1 for transistor T1 and emitter current IA equal to IA. Emitter current of transistor T1 is IA. So it is so IA plus ICBO1 for transistor 1. If this equation we applied for transistor T2, so for transistor T2 collector current is given by IC2. So it is IC2, and for transistor T2 alpha 2 and emitter current for transistor T2 is the IK. So it is IC2 equal to alpha 2 IK plus ICBO2. Now by analysis two transistor model we can get anode current IA. So this current IA is consist of two currents, IC1 plus IC2. So this current IA which is consist of IC1 plus IC2. So we get IA equal to IC1 plus IC2. So we will substitute the value of IC1 IC2 in these equations. We get the IA equal to alpha 1 IA plus ICBO1 plus alpha 2 IK plus ICBO2. Now we applied the gate current IG to turn on the thyristor. So if we applied the IG gate current, so this thyristor will turn on. So the anode current IK will consist of two currents, one is IG and one is IA. By applying Kirchhoff current law, output is IK current, but there is two inputs, one is IG and one is IA. So this IK is consist of the IG plus IA. So IK consists of IA plus IG. So in this equation, if we substitute the value of IK equal to IA plus IG, we get the IA equal to alpha 1 IA plus ICBO1 plus alpha 2 IA plus IG plus ICBO2. So IA equal to alpha 2 IG plus ICBO1 plus ICBO2 divided by 1 minus alpha 1 plus alpha 2. From this relation we can assure that with increasing the value of alpha 1 plus alpha 2 towards the unity, so denominator become lesser compared to the numerator. So we get the higher value of IA. That equation indicate the if we decrease the value of alpha 1 plus alpha 2 towards the unity, we get the higher anode currents. Now we will study the static characteristics of the ICR. To draw the static characteristics of the ICR or to understand the static characteristics of the ICR, we have to connect SCR in such a manner. So this is the SCR, its anode and its cathode, and this is its gates. So anode is connected with the positive of the supply through the load and cathode is connected to the negative of the supply. So gate is connected through the switch to the gate supply voltage EG through the current limiting resistance RG, and this is the anode current limiting resistance. Now we will assume that suppose S is open, that means no gate signal is applied and this arm is at lower positions. So minimum current will be flow from anode to cathode. So this is the when gate is not applied, so SCR is turn off conditions. So this current will be flow, which is the leakage current. It sets a very small magnitude. If we move this arm to upward side, so the we increasing the voltage across the SCR, anode and cathode, which is VA. So if we move this upward side, we increase the voltage across the SCR. So if we increase this voltage VA towards this region in this direction, so SCR gate is not applied, so SCR is in turn off conditions. When we increase this VA up to this value VBO, so this is known as the breakover voltage, at which the anode current IA will increase suddenly from this leakage current to the highest current. So at this point the SCR region is breakdown and SCR become turn on. So this current is known as the latching current. Now if we applied gate signals, with magnitude of Ig, which is the 0, as we previously seen, Ig equal to 0, at the transistor SCR will turn on at VBU. If we increase this gate current from Ig to Ig1, so it will turn on at some lesser voltage than VBU, which is this voltage. So now if we applied gate signals, so SCR will turn on at lower voltage compared to the without gate signals. If we increase the gate current from Ig1 to Ig2, it will turn on at this voltage, which is less than this voltage. So if we increasing the gate current, the breakdown voltage of anode to cathode will decrease. Now if we connect the anode of the SCR to the negative of the supply and cathode connect to the positive of the supply, this type of connection is known as the reverse bias connection of the SCR. So if we increase the reverse voltage from 0 to the negative value, so this is the reverse leakage current, and this region is known as the reverse blocking mode, in which the SCR in turn off condition, but we increase this reverse voltage above the VBR. This is the reverse breakdown voltage. So at which the transistor's reverse bias region will be breakdown and SCR will turn on, and this is avoided because at this reverse bias breakdown there may be chances of SCR may be permanent damage. So we have to avoid these conditions. If we applied gate signal to the SCR will turn on, but by removing the gate signals, SCR will not turn off. It remains in on condition. So it is the after turn on, the SCR lost the gate controls. To turn off the SCR, only the way is to reduce this anode current to this point. This is the holding current. So if we reduce the anode current by anyhow below the holding current, we turn off the SCR. So this holding current is less than the latching current. And our second topic is power electronic device as a switch. In our home or in industry, there are not always connected electrical appliances. It is always necessary to turn off the device whenever not need. So the device is controlled by the switch. So in electrical engineering, a switch is electrical component that can disconnect or connect the conducting path in an electrical circuit, or interrupting the electrical current or diverting it from one conductor to the another conductor. So there are many types of switches. First one is the normal switch. It is the toggle switch. So when this terminal make to this is connect and turn on the load. So this is a single throw switch. It has two terminals only, 1 and 2. This is the double throw switch. So it can divert the path of current from one conductor to the another conductor. So when this switch is on, red light will turn on. And this switch is on, red light will turn on if we change from this terminal to this terminal. So the red light will turn off and green light will be turned on. Electromechanical switch, it is also known as the relay. So it is the combination of the electrical plus mechanical switch. So this is the basic construction of the relay or electromechanical switch. So this is the iron core on which the electrical wire or a coil is wounded, and it is connected with the supply through the switch. If this coil is energized by the supply, so this attract these iron parts. So these move downward side. So these iron part move downward side. So this contact is connected with this point. So this circuit will close from supply to this, and through load through the supply. If we remove this supply by turn off this switch, so this coil will de-energize. So it will release this arm upward side. So this contact will disconnected and the finally lamp will be turned off. So this is the mechanical switch, electromechanical switch. There electrical is the relay coil and the mechanical is contact. When this coil is de-energized, so this move upward by the spring force. And now static switch. What is static switch? A switch having no moving parts is called the static switch. In previous we seen these two type of switch which it has the moving parts. But in static switch, as a power semiconductor device like a BJT, MOSFET, IGBT, SCR, all are known as the static switch. So power conductor device which can turn on and turn off within a few microseconds. So its switching frequency is very high. So now the static switches are replacing mechanical and electromechanical switches because of the following advantages. It says high switching speed, 3 microseconds. That means we can turn on the switch within 3 microseconds and turn off the switch within the 3 microseconds after applying the control signals or a gate signals. So there is no moving parts, so it has no maintenance and a long life. Only the disadvantage of the static switch is while switch is in off conditions, some amount of the leakage current will be flow. This is only the disadvantage of the static switch. So static switch using the triac and 2 thyristor in antiparallel are shown in figure A and figure B respectively. Figure A indicate the triac, where the figure B indicate the 2 thyristors 1 and 2 connected in antiparallel to control the load. So this is the firing circuit which control the triac and turn on and turn off the triac. This is firing circuit for the thyristors to turn on and turn off the SCR or thyristors. So if we understand the single phase AC switch, as a we use thyristors. So two thyristor T1 and T2 connected antiparallels. Antiparallels means the anode of one thyristor is connected with the cathode of other thyristors, and cathode of other thyristor is connected with the anode of other thyristor. So in series the T1 and T2 is connected. So if we not apply any gate signal, so these two thyristor T1 and T2 are turned off. So no current will be flow from source to the load. Suppose this is our source supply sinusoidal and its magnitude is Vs. So in positive half cycles, the anode of the T1 is connected with the positive. So the thyristor T1 in forward bias conditions, whereas the thyristor T2 is in reverse bias conditions. So if we apply the gate signal to the thyristor T1, which is Ig1 at this point 0, so this half cycle positive will be flow from source to thyristor T1 to the load. Now in negative half cycles, at this point thyristor T1 will naturally commutated, because at this point the anode current flowing from thyristor T1 is reduced below the holding current, so it is naturally commutated at these points. Now if we consider the negative half cycle of the source, so this point become plus. So in this point become plus, so thyristor T2 in forward bias conditions and T1 in reverse bias condition. So if we apply the gate signal to the thyristor T2, which is Ig2, the thyristor T2 will turn on and the load current will flow from source to load to thyristor T2 to this point. So we get the complete cycle, positive half cycle from T1 and negative half cycle from T2. So this is the output current. So this current will flow from T1 and this current will flow from T2 and continuously flowing. If we replace two thyristor by one thyristor, we have to connect thyristor in such a manner. This is the bridge connection of the diode, in which the thyristor T is connected, only one thyristor. So during positive half cycle, this is positive half cycle, so diode D1 is in forward bias conditions, so diode D3 is reverse bias condition. So now current will flow this point, but thyristor T is off conditions, so no current will be flow from this point. So if we apply the gate signal Ig to thyristor at this point, so thyristor T will turn on and current flow from thyristor anode to cathode. At this point, the diode D4 is in reverse bias conditions. So now current will flow from D2 to load to the source. So this is for the positive half cycles. Now in negative half cycles, this become positive. So current will flow from this point to load to at this point. At this point, D2 is in reverse bias condition. So it flow from D1 is reverse bias condition. So at this point, if we apply the gate signal Ig to the thyristor will turn on and current will flow from thyristor to D4 to the source. So during positive half cycle, current will flow from source to D1 to thyristor to D2 to load through the supply. And in negative cycles, current will flow from load to diode D3 to diode T, and T to D4 to source. So thyristor T will remain forward bias condition during the both cycles, positive as well as the negative. Now we will realize the DC switches. In AC switch, the AC supply has the continuous change in polarity. For other one half cycle it is positive, and after the positive half cycle it becomes the negative. While in DC its polarity remain fixed, plus remain plus always, and minus remain minus. So the power semiconductor device using the DC switch may be transistor, thyristor or GTO. So we will understand the DC switch using the thyristors. So there is two thyristor T1 and thyristor TA. Thyristor TA is known as the main thyristor, while thyristor TA is known as the auxiliary thyristors. So if we connect circuit in this manner, load is connected with combination of two parallel thyristors and one voltage source Vs. Its positive terminal is this, and this is the negative terminals. So if we assume that thyristor is fired and it's conducting the current from source to the load to the negative. So current is flowing from source to thyristor T1 to the load. Suppose if we want to turn off these thyristors or to turn off the load or disconnect the load from the source, if we fire thyristor TA, so when we fire thyristor TA, the current is flowing from this in such a way. So this current is diverted from T1 to TA. So this voltage of across the capacitor is connected in series with the source. So most of the current is flowing from TA. So the current which is flowing from T1 or main thyristor, it is below the holding currents. That means at below holding current the thyristor TA will turn off. So now fully current is flowing from TA. So capacitor is now charging from polarity, this is positive and this is negative. As we all know, at final condition of the capacitor it become open circuited because of the voltage across the capacitor is charged at fully Vs. So no current will be flow from capacitors. So the current flowing from capacitor or a thyristor which below the holding current of the thyristor TA. So thyristor TA will turn off automatically. So the thyristor T1 is turned off by applying a gate signal to the TA. Now realize the DC switch using the transistor. So this is transistor, this is the N, and this is P, and this is N. If we not applied gate signal between gate and this N, so transistor is in turn off conditions. So no current will be flow from source to the load. If you applied gate signals, the transistor will turn on and current is flow from load to the source. Same for the GTO. If we not applied any gate signal to GTO is turned off and fully voltage appear across the thyristor. No current, no voltage appear across the load. If we applied the gate signal to the GTO will turn on and a fully voltage appear across the load, and GTO is turned off by applying negative gate signal. So this is the realization of different switches used in DC switch. Now we will understand the switching loss. What is switching loss? Switching loss occur during the while we turn on and turn off the switches. As I explained in previous lectures, if we applied a gate signal to any bioelectronics device to turn on it, but it takes some time to turn on, and after removing gate signal to turn off, it takes some time to turn off. So during this time, turn on and turn off, the switching loss will be occurs. We understand this by this diagram. Suppose device in turn off conditions. That means fully voltage appear across the switch two terminals, which is this voltage appear across the two terminal. So device in turn off condition, then that means no current will be flow from its anode to cathode. So this is the current flowing, which is 0. So we calculate the power which is dissipated across the two terminal of the device, which is the product of the voltage across the device and current is flowing from the device. If we multiply these two, we get the 0, because current is flowing from the device is 0. If we multiply this current to this value, we get the 0 power loss during turn off conditions. If we applied gate signals, if we assume that the device is fully on condition, that means switch is on, so voltage across the switch is reduced to 0, but current is flowing fully. So if we multiply those two value, voltage across the switch and current flowing through the switch is 0. So while the device in fully turn off condition, there is no switching loss, so there is no power loss. While the device in fully on conditions, the voltage across the terminal becomes 0, so there is no loss, power loss across the junctions. So if we assume at this point we applied the gate signal to any device to turn on, to make it on. So now the current at this point, current is start to increasing and voltage is start to decreasing. If we multiply these two signals, we get this kind of signals. So this time is known as the turn on delay times. So at these regions, the switching loss will be occur. If we remove the gate signal to make the device turn off, the current is now reducing from its maximum value to 0. So voltage is increasing from 0 to maximum value. If we multiply two products, we get the power. So when we turn on the device and when we turn off the device, the power loss occur during turn on and turn off, and remaining 0 for other conditions. So this loss is known as the switching losses of the device. If the switching loss is increased beyond the limit, we have to connect the heat sinks which dissipate the heat which is developed across the junction to the environment. If we not dissipate this heat, if the limit of temperature exceed the limit, there may be chances of permanent damage of the switch because of the high temperature developed across the switch. GTU questions. First one is explain the semiconductor device as a switch, in which we have to explain the all semiconductor device, how we can use as a AC switch or a DC switch. Second one is explain two transistor topology of SCR, in which you have to explain two transistor T1 and transistor 2, how the SCR will turn on after applied the gate signals. So up to this point, operation of the power device switches we completed. So in next lecture we will study the single quadrant switches and two quadrant switches. Thank you.